If you would like to access TalkAbility for the visually impaired, please visit our Facebook page.
Welcome to TalkAbility, the show that takes the dis out of disability. With the current unemployment rate reaching 27%, getting a job is tough, even more so when you are a person with a disability. Ka jeko lena re sheba hore bahiri ba sebetsa hakakang ho etsetsa hore batho ba sa itekanelang le bona ba kgone ho sebetsa ho fihlela moo ba kgonang teng. Work opportunity targets for persons with disabilities must reach at least 7% by the year 2030, and we are nowhere close. We'll see how important it is for us to speak up for our rights and how the public at large can assist on making this workplace a more accessible space. Ka jeko lena ke na le Oageng Mlando, o mong wa batho a sa letle letho le mothibelle hore a fitlelle torong tsa hae. Oageng le kae ntate?
Everything there.
Ra o amohela mona TalkAbility. Jwale ka motho a tsamayang ka wheelchair tjena. Ha o thola mosebetsi o kena mosebetsing, one of the concerns tse bang teng is having reasonable accommodation. What does that mean to you?
Ya ka o tsena ko mmerekong o tlhoka parking ya gago mo ka nnang teng. A ke re wa itse re parking tse di normal tla go na le space se nyane, for example. So you need spaces whole gore o kgone go bula wheelchair go kgone go tsena. O tshwana go di mall, for example. Wa bona gore se ka tlhole o tlhole pekile from a distance. So a ke re na go ya ka pula yana, you can't pick far. So tshwantse go be gaufi le go entrance nya go mosebetsing wa gago. So if we o motsa o di lene fatshe o mmolela okay bona mo gonna it's going to be a challenge gore when it's raining I can't hold an umbrella. Go push yang. Understand?
You push it your whole.
Understand? It tla bentse tshwana ke sa tshwara umbrella because so ra re tshwantse ke move side teng ke push side teng ke etseng. Understand? For example, if o tsamaya ka public transport o tla bo fitlha late o sa bua gore nna ke tsamaya ka public transport o tla tshwanetse gore ba kgone go accommodate. Le batho go taxing sometimes ba batla go tsena ba le need wheelchair go tla le di ena le diretse ena le staff. Understand? So ba prefer okay because wheelchair ga go ena diretse motho mongwe ga se tlhele a dutse e motlatsa wa bona. So ba prefer re emela wheelchair taxi eng o tlo kra taxi eng e fetsa go tswa no ilo deliver tshwantse bo ya shutlo ba after an hour. Wa bona wena it means gore I bo after an hour, so basically gonna be 1.5 hour late ko mmereko. Wa bona la o tsena le ka mogare go be le di accessibility like se o bereka ko second floor go ba le di ramp for example o kgone go second floor go na le di lift do tsa go tshwana le tsona tseo. Nna ke prefer gore a ke bua gore okay ke batla 1 2 3 gore e kgone in thusa gore ke kgone go le time management I tell everyone ko American should be the target whether you are disabled or not. So ke one do tselo re tshwantse re try go di approach you should see the guy angle tsa go differ.
Mosebetsing wa hao o sales support and administrator qualification A ya hao ena, what does it mean to your family?
It means a lot because in my family ko lapeng la Mlando I'm the first one go fetsa school and I'm the first one go ya ko varsity. So basically nkane ke reng ke nna wa motho wa ntla go ira tse dintsi in my family even though ke feletsentse ke le physically challenged.
Then you are the type of guy that showed hore the adversity handle ha se ntho e tla thiba motho tswela pele ne.
Yeah, ke nile lone through support ya di parents ke nang le tsone ke feletse le re adversity nke se tlhole ke di bona.
Let's go see Oageng at his current workplace.
Nile la me ke Oageng Mlando ke paraplegic. Ke nile involved in a car accident from school ke na le 6. Driver ya rona ne sa we gore motho wa ona driver bulldozer ona tlo go jika because na syndicate. So that's why ke feletse ke tsamaya ka wheelchair at the end. Most people ba feletse ba tlhokofetse but I'm one of the survivors. With my current employer ke thabile thata because ke kry-a help e tshwantseng ke kry from the security guys go fitla ka mogare a ke tsena se go la le motho ng attendang la o tsena ka mogare ka mabati ba go thusa go bulela until o fitla ka mogare o fitla ka le go lifting la go sna le mtlakase in terms of tse di so go na le di backup generators so ka se tlhole re utlwa re complain gore lift is stakile and so forth. Ntho ke ratang gore mo every floor le toilet da motho disabled, even the space is wheelchair user friendly like so call even when I go to the canteen. Unlike with my previous employer there's only one toilet, it go downstairs, so if you need to use the bathroom restroom tshwantswe ko fatshe ne ka se happy ka do tse dintse especially mo go tloa mo dintsa gore ba treat ya batho ba disabled ke feletse ke resignile ko company ene ke berekela before because it was not accommodating. So I think go rutiwa ka challenges and to interact with batho ba disabled to understand their challenges gore what they go through every day. I think that's one of the problems you attendiwe. I know I've studied, I went to university, and I have a potential to prove to my employers where I can do this job. So, I fit in because they treat me as they are equal. I want to treat I'm just a person who will change everything. My opinion and my suggestion counts.
Based on the fact that they usually help you and things like that, relationship ya o le di colleagues tsa hao e jwang yona?
Yeah, relationship ya ka le colleague you're right yona ena bothata mara ka sometimes so ke feel ka re ke nna independent in a way nka se le ke rely mo di employees tsaka as time goes on antse batho ba tsena ko di employment area they're going to start feeling comfortable wa bona gore okay ke motho like o khona go dira 1 2 3 wa bona a ke stakile bo khona like no yana ba khona go tla go khona re ke stakile ka 1 2 3 please assist mo mona le mona. So if let's let ka mothusa then o bolela ba bang gore gape o thiele wa bona gape a o thiele ke non shades into so wa bona so it becomes a thing ya gore vele le nna o romela o mongwe so at the end the employees tsa go di atla go gena like they're starting to recognize you what you bring into the table wa bona it doesn't mean gore when o disabled you don't have the capability ya go etsa dintho tse dingwe. Try to impose a positive mind mo bathong gore ba khone ba go accept.
But of course your positive attitude does not always go through with other people. For example, the fact that now you had to resign from your previous employer.
Yeah, that's why sometimes you gotta have to know your worth. Understand? And you got to know tshwanetse be le limit in life or okay. If ke try go change this person ke months the way but if a tswalla the opportunities tsa gago le everything wa bona it is going to be now a different case because wena tla bozama ka nna tla be ke tsore I'm trying gore ke interact with this person but ene push away.
Look, I can totally understand where you're coming from and what you're saying. And it's one of those conversations which I think employers must be open to listening to and discussions that they must be open to hearing because preparing for work is part of that. For different disabilities, different reasonable accommodation is required. So after the break, we learn more about the meaning of reasonable accommodation and how it changes depending on the particular person that is involved. Ke dutse mona le Oageng ntse re bua ka gore go ka etsa jwang gore re netefatse gore bahiri tshepiso tse ba di entseng gore ba tla thusa gore batho ba sa itekanelang ba gone gore ba fitlhelle mo ba fitlhellang teng ebile ba tshwariwe hantle mosebetsing ba di etsa. Ho rona mona ka jekolena ke Oageng le mogotsi wa hae Medupi Molepo ba tla bua le rona. Ra o amoela le wena ntate Molepo mona.
Ka leboha ho ba mona.
O go njwetse mona wena le Oageng le bagotsi bogotsi ba lona bo qadile jwang ebile go baneng le mogotsi wa Oageng?
Oageng ke kopane le ena ko mmerekong so re kopane ko lifting mputsisitse fela hore o nna ka o ntse batla motho ka tsamang le ena ho ya hae.
So Oageng just saw you and thought this is how I'm gonna cut the cost.
So ebe ke dumela ebe ke thomotsa malena every day. Ke na le motsisa ke re ka re mo mmerekong kaofela lo itse ke everyone. So o ke motho spoken no friendly o sebetsa sharp.
And of course, one of the issues still ring it's reasonable accommodation. For wena, what does it mean?
Accommodation ke na le bothata ba matlo. So ha ke bono ho bona khole. So for example, if by a placard like warning so since even a big font hore ke khone e bona. Le ko di meeting if they have presentations they have to increase font or give me slides hore ke khone ho ba followa ka mohara meeting.
Taba kore 470 million of our world workforce lives with disabilities. And why is it that most companies have still not adapted to accommodating disability and providing the reasonable accommodation? Because now that is a large population of the world.
So-called batho ba reng ba normal, ha ba utlwisise hore he ke re ha ke bone ke mina, ha ke na hore nka measure hore ke bona so far or ho etsahala eng. So yena ha tlwaela hore ho na le motho o sa boneng ka mo mmerekong. So hence ho sena di-company tse ngata di so be le accessibility mo mmerekong.
Go ntse ba sena that thing ya gore we should employ people living with disabilities. Even though ba tswa go universities, ba studies, they are capable. Ya ka mo dipino yana le ne ke IT. He's doing a lot of things for the company. And they are not going about the time go bona gore ke motho ba yang wa bona gore is capable, he can do this, he can program these programs. You understand those kind of things. Like when I did the workshop, we improve the system. I think that should be also part of the system, improve the workplaces.
And in terms of employment contracts, do you find that the employment contracts, Salona, they were or they have been right now adapted to accommodate the party at disability? You know,
I think the contracts that are just generic for everyone else.
I feel like this generation already it prepares for the future. Maybe the next coming generation. Now we're still fighting for those things.
I guess this is one of the things you'll always find out when you yourself and the employer have a good relationship, and most importantly when the employer is trying harder to be able to provide reasonable accessibility and to make sure that you are supported fully within that type of employment. Right now re tlotsa mare kwana ho Ayanda ke re bona hore Ayanda yena bophelong ba hae o phetse jwang mo mosebetsing wa hae wa call center teng ha re boneng ho etsalang mo.
Ke hopola mone ke sebetsa teng twice a month no dula o bana le di-fire drill hore ba re bontsha hore in case tlo bana le mollo tshwantse re etseng. Batho ne ba tsamaya ka line ba ya ko di-stepsing cause no sa tshwanela hore o re sebedise lift. Mara nna ne ba ntjwetsa hore no wena ka hore ha ona mnyako sebedisa lift. Hauna taba because ke practice fela hore o bone hore o sebedisa gate e feng hore o se ke be wa panica. Mara nna at the back of my mind ane ke kena ka moara lift ne ke ipotsa hore mara what if there's a real fire, then nna go tlo etsalang ka nna ke tlo tshella ka mohare or what?
Well, you can't hide the facts here. Sena se kotsi ena e makatsang. Ntho tse tjena ke tsona tse tlamileng di ruputuwe.
With my previous employer, ne ke na le mo situation e so basically nna ne ke sa participate. Ne ke gana ne ke ba bolela hore no, I won't do this thing. If you do fire drill le sena accommodate, then it's fine. So they had to train few people how do they handle the wheelchair gore ye ko fatshe. I wasn't really liking what's happening because still sometimes we have to understand if there's fire to escape. Understand?
Empa bothata ke hore batho ba borona ha ba bue hobane ba tshaba ho loser mosebetsi wa bona. The goals tse re batlang ho di reach as persons living with disabilities for the standard hore se tshwane everywhere else di santsane di le hole actually ne ka pona na jwang tate Mdupi.
Ke nahana bjalo, ke nahana hore maybe government set a standard for the company to say a building mo le horeng o tlo employer batho e be le certain standard hore e be wheelchair friendly, maybe the font be a little bigger, e train staff as Oageng Mlando.
There's so many persons with disabilities that have entered the workplace. However, you would go to even another employer that has a disabled people before yourself. However, they would not have even put anything different in place. I think and I believe that it is something that we cannot completely eradicate by ourselves unless the mainstream people start feeling that themselves, that this is affecting how society grows and develops.
At least for now, my manager o vocal, like here le go meeting re na le batho ba bang le hore ga ba aware, and then they ba thoma ho ira presentation ona le ho ba botsa hore okay medipo na le this problem, and then you can give him the slides. Also he ke fitla o make le sure hore ke na le a bigger screen.
Again, something that employers need to remember is that people living with disabilities are not asking for perfect accommodation. They are asking for reasonable accommodation. Ha re tswa papatsong, re tlo bua le Nika Oberholzer a tlo re jwetsa hore re ka etsa jwang hore mesebetsing e kgone ho thusa batho ba sa itekanelang. Se re khutlile hape bana beso ntse re bua ka hore batho ba sa itekanelang ba ka thuswa jwang mesebetsing hore le bona ba tshwarwe hantle. Ka jeko lena ke dutse mona le Nika Oberholzer, yena ke occupational therapist, sana le lemo tse tshelela a etsa mosebetsi ona wa hore a sebetse le di-company le batho ba sa itekanelang ka hore ba tshwarwe hantle mo mosebetsing. Welcome, Nika.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show.
From the conversation I've had with the guys here, I think one of the things that I've picked up is that most of the initiative comes from the person with the disability. But then what is happening with HR, with the contracts, with the policies, especially to those that have been exposed to some type of disability within their workspace?
Well, in my experience, I've found that companies generally don't have any policies in place in terms of employing persons with disabilities. They're not unwilling to learn, but in my experience also, attitudinal barriers are much bigger than the physical barriers we face in the workplace. Okay. So I do think that companies need to be educated, that HR needs to be in touch with professionals who can guide them on what needs to go into the policies.
And what type of attitude barriers have you come across yourself?
I've seen a lot of it. Most is fear and stigma. So most able-bodied people or companies will feel that the person with disability, they don't know how to interact with them. They don't know what they might need in the workplace. They think it's going to cost them a lot of money. There's a lot of stigma around that, and people think that all people with mental illness are dangerous, which is in fact not true. Also, I think the attitudinal barriers I've seen is that the person with a disability must be the superhero who inspires everybody.
Yes, because as much as you can do the superhero thing, I think for most people, whatever a person with a disability does, it's so inspiring. That is always the response. But sometimes you just want to be yourself.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't want to do something great. Yeah. Because now how can you live every day doing something amazing, you know?
Yes, so they say, I just want to go to work like you do. I'm not here to inspire you. That people with disabilities, unfortunately, the harsh truth is that they are still often viewed as second-class citizens, as objects of shame, like, oh, shame, you can't do this and you can't do that, instead of looking at the person first and the disability second.
In terms of the laws and policies, where are we with that?
South Africa has adopted the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So what that means is it's been written into our constitution that discrimination on the basis of disability is actually a human rights violation. So that was then translated into the Employment Equity Act, and supporting the Employment Equity Act, which is specifically aimed at eradicating discrimination in the workplace and ensuring that affirmative action measures are put into place for designated groups, and people with disabilities fall within designated groups.
But what about the operational issues within the company once the person is employed? How do we make sure that this person actually is able to operate and is able to reach the best heights for them to be able to be successful in their positions and maybe get promotions as well?
Like, I know my worth. That's why hence I went to varsity. I didn't study to come and boost the PEE score.
So the Employment Equity Act is very clear on how things should be done. And because it's a legal document and a bit difficult to read, they've got the Code of Good Practice and the Technical Assistance Guidelines, which will explain everything with examples. It's very easy to read. And I think all HR personnel and employers should read the Technical Assistance Guidelines, because it's very clear on how you should advertise positions, how you should interview, how you should select. And it also stipulates reasonable accommodation measures in. So the law does protect the person.
But also in terms of employment, when it comes to advertising positions and all of that, do you find that employers are always open to hire a person with a disability when they just find a right candidate with a disability, even though the position was not advertised specifically for a person living with a disability?
They look at the disability first, and they don't look at the person's qualifications and for their suitability for the job. And that's what should be done before you start investigating how you're going to accommodate the person.
With my previous employer, it started as a learnership. So I came to a point where I told them that I don't want to be in a contract anymore, because I want employment, because I've got needs that I need to fulfill. I have to buy a car. How am I going to buy a car? Because now we're complaining about being late to work, but you don't give me a job where I can go and buy a car. I got a family to provide for. So those kind of things, I just told them, either you hire me permanently or you let me go and I'll go look for something else again.
Is it something that happens a lot, where they would just keep on renewing a learnership contract over and over and over again, but never at any point have intentions of providing permanent employment?
The burden of proof lies with the employer to explain why they didn't consider this person for an advancement. So I think persons with disabilities must really speak up and say, listen, I'm suitably qualified for this job. You need to explain to me why I wasn't promoted.
But how do you work that out when you are employed by this particular employer and you fear to lose your job? You have a family to feed, and if you stand up, you're probably the only one there.
Sometimes I feel like maybe these guys won't hire me because they have to take out money and buy big monitors and things like that. So I don't even know whether to say, okay, I'll be comfortable with whatever you give me, or tell them that I need.
Because of that need
Yes.
to want to work and to be able to earn an income, there's that fear.
Yes.
If I mention all these things,
I mean,
they will think I'm such a burden, they won't even take me, whether I'm
in
good
no
or not.
position to negotiate anything with them, because what I need from them is, we hired you, that's the thing.
So you feel like more of a liability than an asset to the company. Like instead of bringing money, you're taking out money.
Yes.
Because I think company, they are there to generate incomes, not losses.
They really have to prove that the company's operations will suffer, that they will go under financially. And it's not just about the money, actually. And that is also stated very clearly in the Act, that it's not a financial thing. There's no excuse.
When you need to fight, you have to fight. Yes. And I think that's the message that most persons living with a disability must continue doing. Everyone else, from community, the business, the government, need to look into to try and assist the situation. However, we will continue to prove the world that we are able to do whatever we want to do. We are able to reach our dreams against every other odds they put against us, even life put against us.
The only way we can combat this is through talking about it, vigorous sensitization, as it's stated in the tag. We need to talk. We need to sensitize. We need to expose, and that's the only way we can fight this.
Thank you for getting this conversation going, and we'll definitely continue with this on social media so that we can get other views and see what other solutions could be there, because the most important thing is that we need to start having solutions to these type of problems. Ebang le sebete hobane ho buella ditokelo tsa lona tsa hore le tshwarwe hantle mosebetsing ke dintho tse tshireleditsweng ke molao, mme dintho di tla fetoha ha fela lona le ka tswela pele le ikemela. Lebitso ke Reina Moloi, and we talk ability.